My wife cheated with a Hollywood actor, so I tried to destroy his career. It backfired badly. 6 months ago, I thought I had the perfect life. I'm 34, work in IT for a mid-sized company in Los Angeles, and was married to my college sweetheart Sarah for 8 years. We had our struggles like any couple, but I genuinely believed we were happy. We were trying for kids, had just bought our dream house in Sherman Oaks, and everything seemed to be falling into place. That all changed on a random Tuesday in March when I came home early from work with food poisoning. I walked into our house and heard sounds coming from our bedroom, sounds that definitely weren't coming from the TV. My heart dropped into my stomach as I crept up the stairs, hoping against hope that I was wrong about what I was hearing. I wasn't wrong. Through the crack in our bedroom door, I saw my wife of 8 years in bed with a man I recognized immediately from the movie posters in our local theater. Jake is what you'd call an A-list actor, not quite Tom Cruise level, but definitely someone you'd recognize on the street. He's been in several major blockbusters over the past few years and has millions of followers on social media. I stood there frozen for what felt like hours but was probably only 30 seconds. My mind couldn't process what I was seeing. This wasn't just some random affair. My wife was cheating on me with an actual celebrity. Part of me wondered if I was hallucinating from the food poisoning. I quietly backed away and left the house, my hands shaking so badly I could barely start my car. I drove around for hours, trying to figure out what to do. How do you even begin to process something like this? How long had this been going on? How did they even meet? When I finally came home that evening, Sarah acted completely normal. She asked about my day, made dinner, and we watched Netflix like nothing had happened. The casual way she lied to my face made everything so much worse. This wasn't a one-time mistake, this was calculated deception. Over the next few days, I became obsessed with figuring out how they met and how long this had been going on. I started checking Sarah's phone when she was in the shower, going through her emails, even tracking her location. I know it was wrong, but I was completely losing my mind. That's when I discovered the truth. Sarah works as a freelance makeup artist, and she'd been hired for a small indie film Jake was producing. They'd been seeing each other for almost 4 months. 4 months of lies, 4 months of her coming home to me after being with him, 4 months of me being the biggest fool in Los Angeles. The worst part? Reading through their messages, it was clear that Jake knew about me. They would joke about it. Sarah would tell him about our conversations, our plans, our intimate moments. I wasn't just being cheated on, I was being mocked by a millionaire movie star who saw me as nothing more than an obstacle to his fun. That's when something inside me snapped. I started thinking about revenge. Not just leaving Sarah or getting a divorce, I wanted to hurt Jake the way he had hurt me. I wanted to destroy the thing he cared about most, his career and his reputation. I know how this sounds. I know I should have just filed for divorce and moved on with my life. But when you discover that your entire reality has been a lie, when you realize that not only has your wife been betraying you, but she's been doing it with someone who makes more money in a month than you'll make in your lifetime, rational thinking goes out the window. I started researching everything I could about Jake. I learned about his upcoming projects, his PR team, his management company, his philanthropic work. I studied his social media presence and his public image. He was known for being a family man despite being unmarried, often talking about wanting to settle down and have kids someday. The irony wasn't lost on me. My plan was simple in concept but complex in execution. I was going to expose the affair in a way that would maximize damage to his reputation, while making it impossible to trace back to me. I created multiple fake social media accounts, started gathering evidence of their relationship, and began planning what I thought would be the perfect takedown. This is where everything started going wrong, but I was too blinded by rage to see it. First, I tried to get photos of them together. I started following Sarah when she went to meet him, sitting outside restaurants and hotels with a telephoto lens I bought specifically for this purpose. I felt like a stalker because, well, I basically was one. After 2 weeks, I managed to get a few blurry photos of them holding hands and one of them kissing outside a coffee shop in West Hollywood. The photos weren't great, you could tell it was them, but barely. I knew I needed something better, something more definitive. So I decided to get creative. I used my IT skills to create a fake email account that looked like it belonged to a gossip blogger. I researched the writing style of several entertainment journalists and crafted what I thought was a convincing inquiry email. I sent it to Jake's publicist, claiming I had received tips about him having an affair with a married woman and asking for comment. My thinking was that this would either force him to end the relationship or cause enough panic in his camp that the affair would come to light. What I didn't anticipate was that his publicist would immediately launch a full investigation into who was spreading these rumors. Within a week, they had traced the fake email back to me. Apparently, my IT skills weren't as sophisticated as I thought when it came to covering my tracks from people with serious resources. Jake's team hired a private investigator who discovered not just the fake email, but also my stalking behavior, the fake social media accounts, and basically my entire revenge plan. But instead of confronting me directly, they decided to let me hang myself. See, I didn't know they were onto me, so I escalated my efforts. I started posting on gossip forums, trying to plant seeds about Jake's secret affair. I created fake insider accounts on Reddit and Twitter, dropping hints about a major scandal involving an A-list actor. I even tried to leak the blurry photos I'd taken to several gossip blogs. None of the major outlets picked up the story because the evidence was too weak and the sources were obviously fake. But I kept pushing, getting more desperate and more sloppy with each attempt. That's when Jake's legal team struck. I came home from work on a Friday to find a process server waiting for me with a lawsuit. Jake was suing me for stalking, harassment, defamation, invasion of privacy, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The lawsuit included printouts of every fake account I'd created, copies of all my posts and emails, photos of me following them around LA, and even security footage from various locations where I'd been lurking with my camera. Seeing my entire revenge plan laid out in legal documents was humiliating beyond words. Not only had I failed spectacularly, but I'd documented my own failure in meticulous detail. The lawsuit was seeking damages in the millions, money I obviously don't have. But it gets worse. The lawsuit was just the beginning. Jake's team also compiled evidence of my behavior and turned it over to the LAPD. I was arrested at work the following Monday on charges of stalking and harassment. The perp walk past my colleagues was one of the most humiliating experiences of my life. As if that wasn't enough, news of my arrest somehow leaked to the media. Not the major outlets, they still weren't interested in the story, but several local news stations picked it up. The headlines were brutal. Local man arrested for stalking Hollywood actor, jealous husband's revenge plot backfires spectacularly, IT worker faces prison time for celebrity stalking scheme. My name and photo were all over local news and social media. My employer, understandably, fired me immediately. They couldn't have someone associated with stalking and harassment representing their company, especially someone whose arrest was making local headlines. Meanwhile, Sarah had moved out of our house and in with Jake. She filed for divorce while I was still in jail waiting for bail. Through our mutual friends, I learned that she was telling everyone I had become dangerous and obsessive and that she feared for her safety. The woman who had been cheating on me for months was now painting herself as the victim. The divorce proceedings have been a nightmare. Because of the stalking charges and the media coverage, I've been painted as an unhinged, potentially violent spouse. Sarah's lawyer has used my criminal behavior to argue that she deserves the majority of our assets, including our house, to compensate for the trauma I put her through. The irony is suffocating. The woman who destroyed our marriage by having an affair with a movie star is now being portrayed as the wrong party, while I'm the villain who deserves to lose everything. But the legal troubles are just the tip of the iceberg. The real damage has been to my reputation and my mental health. Word of my arrest spread through my professional network faster than I thought possible. IT is a smaller community than people realize, especially in LA, and news travels fast. I've applied to dozens of jobs over the past few months, but every interview ends the same way. As soon as potential employers Google my name, they see the news articles about the stalking arrest, and that's the end of the conversation. I've had to move back in with my parents at 34 years old because I can't afford rent without a job, and I can't get a job because of what I did. My savings are gone mostly to legal fees trying to defend against both the criminal charges and Jake's civil lawsuit. The criminal case is still pending, but my lawyer says I'll probably end up with probation and community service if I take a plea deal. The civil lawsuit is a different story. Jake's team is pushing for a settlement in the low six figures, money I don't have and won't have anytime soon. My lawyer explained that even if I declare bankruptcy, I might not be able to discharge the debt from the civil suit because it arose from my willful and malicious conduct. I could be paying this off for the rest of my life. The worst part is that Jake and Sarah are living their best life while I'm dealing with the consequences of my actions. I've seen photos of them at movie premieres and industry events, looking happy and in love. Sarah is getting to live the glamorous life she always dreamed of, while I'm a cautionary tale about what happens when you try to take on Hollywood. My friends and family have been mixed in their support. Some people understand that I was in an incredibly painful situation and made bad decisions while I was emotionally devastated. Others think I got what I deserved for stalking and harassing people, regardless of what Sarah did to me. My parents are supportive but disappointed. They keep asking why I didn't just get a divorce like a normal person. They don't understand that it wasn't just about the affair, it was about the humiliation, the mockery, the feeling that some rich celebrity thought he could just take whatever he wanted from my life without consequences. But here's the thing I've realized over the past few months. There were never going to be consequences for Jake. That's not how the world works. Rich, famous people don't face the same accountability as the rest of us. They have teams of lawyers and publicists whose job it is to protect them from exactly the kind of situation I was trying to create. I was David trying to take down Goliath. But I forgot that in the real world, Goliath has an army of lawyers and David ends up in jail. The media attention has died down, but the internet is forever. My name will always be associated with this story. Future employers, potential romantic partners, anyone who Googles me will find articles about my failed revenge plot and my arrest for stalking a celebrity. I've started therapy to deal with the anger and depression that led me to make such terrible decisions. My therapist keeps telling me that I need to take responsibility for my choices and focus on rebuilding my life rather than dwelling on the injustice of what happened to my marriage. She's right, but it's hard. It's hard to accept that Sarah gets to ride off into the sunset with her movie star boyfriend, while I'm facing years of legal and financial consequences for my reaction to their betrayal. I know some people reading this will have no sympathy for me. They'll say I brought this on myself by choosing stalking and harassment over simply getting a divorce. And they're right. I made terrible decisions driven by pain and rage, and I'm paying the price for those decisions. But I also know there are people who understand the rage I felt when I discovered that my wife wasn't just cheating on me, but was doing it with someone who saw me as a joke. The feeling that your entire life has been a lie, that the person you trusted most in the world has been betraying you while you planned your future together. I'm sharing this story not because I want sympathy, but because I want other people in similar situations to learn from my mistakes. When your world falls apart, when you discover betrayal on this level, the urge for revenge feels overwhelming. But revenge fantasies are just that, fantasies. In the real world, trying to destroy someone with more resources than you will only destroy yourself. I should have hired a divorce lawyer immediately. I should have focused on protecting my own interests rather than trying to hurt the people who had hurt me. I should have recognized that no amount of revenge would undo the damage to my marriage or make the pain go away. Instead, I chose a path that has left me worse off than if I had done nothing at all. Sarah would have left me for Jake regardless of what I did. The only difference is that if I had handled it properly, I'd be divorced but still have my job, my reputation, and my freedom. Now I'm divorced and facing criminal charges and being sued for millions and unemployable in my chosen field. My revenge plan didn't just fail, it made everything infinitely worse. The most painful part is that Jake probably doesn't even think about me anymore. I was a minor inconvenience in his life, easily dealt with by his legal team. He's moved on to making movies and living his life, while I'm still dealing with the consequences of our brief intersection. To anyone reading this who might be in a similar situation, don't be me. Don't let rage and humiliation drive you to make decisions that will haunt you for years. Get a good lawyer, protect your assets, and focus on building a new life rather than destroying the people who hurt you. Revenge might feel good in your fantasies, but in reality, it's just another way to destroy your own life. I can't believe I'm updating this disaster of a story, but things have somehow gotten even worse since my original post. Yesterday morning, I woke up to dozens of messages and missed calls. Apparently, someone had forwarded my Reddit post to a major entertainment blog, and they decided to run with the story. They didn't use my real name, but they included enough details that anyone who knows me would recognize the situation. The headline was, Reddit user's failed revenge plot against A-list actor goes viral cautionary tale, or comedy gold. The article basically summarized my entire post and included reactions from legal experts about how badly I had screwed up. One lawyer they quoted called my behavior a masterclass in how to turn being a victim of adultery into being a defendant in multiple legal proceedings. Thanks to the blog coverage, my Reddit post has now been viewed over 2 million times. It's been cross-posted to dozens of other subreddits, shared on Twitter, and even made into TikTok videos. I've become a cautionary tale that people share as an example of how not to handle divorce. But here's where it gets really bad, because the story went viral. Jake's legal team found out about it. Apparently, posting a detailed account of your stalking behavior on the internet, while you're facing criminal charges for that same stalking behavior, is considered incredibly stupid by legal professionals. Who knew? My criminal defense lawyer called me screaming yesterday afternoon. He said that my Reddit post is basically a written confession that the prosecution will use against me in court. Every detail I shared about following them, creating fake accounts, and trying to damage Jake's reputation is now documented evidence that I voluntarily posted online. He also said that Jake's civil lawsuit team is probably celebrating right now because I just handed them additional evidence of my intentional infliction of emotional distress. Apparently, posting about someone's private life on a platform with millions of users counts as additional harassment. My lawyer strongly advised me to delete the post immediately, but the damage is already done. People have already screenshotted it, saved it, and shared it across multiple platforms. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. The worst part? Some of the people commenting on the various reposts of my story figured out who Jake is based on the details I provided. They're posting photos of him and Sarah together, speculating about their relationship, and basically doing everything I failed to accomplish with my revenge plot. So now Jake is dealing with actual unwanted media attention about his personal life. But it's not because of anything I did directly, it's because I was stupid enough to post about it on Reddit, and it went viral. His legal team has already sent my lawyer a letter saying that they consider my Reddit post to be a continuation of my harassment campaign, and they're adding it to both the criminal case and the civil lawsuit. They're also threatening to sue Reddit to get my identity information, which would make my name public in connection with this story. I've gone from being a local embarrassment to being an international internet joke in the span of 3 days. There are memes about me now. Memes. People are calling me Stalker IT Guy and the worst revenge plot ever. Someone even made a TikTok video explaining my story with dramatic music and everything. My parents are mortified. My mom called me crying yesterday, saying that her friends had seen the story online and recognized the details. My dad is so angry he's barely speaking to me. They can't understand how I went from being their successful son with a good job and a nice house to being an internet cautionary tale about stalking celebrities. The job search has become even more impossible. Before, potential employers just found local news articles about my arrest. Now they find viral blog posts calling me an example of what not to do and detailed Reddit threads dissecting my bad decisions. I've started getting emails from people who recognized my story. Some are supportive, sharing their own stories of infidelity and divorce. But others are just mean. People telling me I deserve everything that's happening to me, that I'm a creep and a stalker, that Sarah was right to leave me. The supportive messages almost make it worse because they remind me that I could have handled this situation in a way that would have earned me sympathy instead of ridicule. If I had just filed for divorce and moved on with my life, I could have been the wrong husband who took the high road. Instead, I'm the guy who tried to stalk a movie star and ended up destroying his own life. I've been staying in my childhood bedroom at my parents' house, applying for jobs that I know I won't get, and watching my life become an internet joke. I feel like I'm living in a nightmare that I created for myself. The therapy sessions have become more intense. My therapist says I need to find a way to accept that my actions had consequences beyond what I anticipated, and that going viral has made those consequences permanent in a way that they wouldn't have been otherwise. She's right, but it's hard to accept that one moment of weakness posting on Reddit when I was feeling isolated and desperate has potentially ruined any chance I had of rebuilding my life quietly. I know some people will say that I deserve this for what I did to Jake and Sarah. And maybe they're right. Maybe this is karma for trying to destroy someone's reputation and career. But it's hard to see the justice in Sarah getting to live her dream life while I become a cautionary tale that people use to teach their kids about the dangers of social media. The worst part is that I can't even be angry about it anymore. I'm just tired. Tired of fighting legal battles I can't win, tired of applying for jobs I won't get, tired of being the punchline to a joke I wrote myself. If anyone reading this recognizes my story from the blog coverage or the viral posts, please remember that there's a real person behind this cautionary tale. I made terrible decisions and I'm paying for them, but I'm still a human being who's trying to figure out how to rebuild his life from the ashes of his own bad choices. To everyone else, be very careful what you post online. You never know when your moment of vulnerability might become the internet's entertainment. I'm posting this update from a lawyer's office, and I honestly don't know if I should be relieved or terrified about what just happened. Yesterday, I received a call from Jake's legal team requesting a meeting. My lawyer advised against it, but they made it clear that this was the kind of offer that comes once and doesn't get repeated. The meeting was at a high-end law firm in Century City, the kind of place where the conference room probably costs more than I used to make in a month. Jake's lead attorney, 2 associates, and what appeared to be a crisis management specialist were waiting for me. They had prepared what they called a comprehensive resolution proposal. Basically, they want to make this entire situation disappear for both of us. Here's what they offered. First, they'll drop the civil lawsuit entirely. No damages, no settlement payment, nothing. The millions I thought I'd be paying for the rest of my life just vanish. Second, they'll use their influence to get the criminal charges reduced to a misdemeanor with no jail time, just probation and community service. Third, and this is where it gets weird, they'll help me get a job. Not just any job, but a good job with a tech company that does work for the entertainment industry. They have connections everywhere, and apparently, they're willing to use them to help me rebuild my life. The catch? I have to sign the most comprehensive non-disclosure agreement I've ever seen. I can never talk about Jake, Sarah, or any of the events that led to this situation ever again. I can't write about it, can't post about it online, can't discuss it in interviews, can't even mention it to friends or family members who don't already know about it. If I violate the NDA in any way, I'll owe them $10 million in liquidated damages, plus attorney's fees. They also get the right to sue me for any additional damages caused by my breach. But more than that, I have to actively help make this story disappear. I have to delete my Reddit account and request that all the viral posts about my story be taken down. I have to refuse any interview requests or offers to turn this into a book, movie, or documentary. I have to become a ghost in my own story. The crisis management specialist explained that having this story out there is problematic for their client's brand and that the viral nature of my Reddit posts has created an ongoing reputation management issue. Apparently, people are still trying to figure out Jake's identity and posting speculation about his love life. They want me to record a video statement saying that I made up the entire story for internet attention, that it was all fiction based on movies I'd seen, and that I'm sorry for any confusion or harm caused by my creative writing exercise. My lawyer spent an hour going through the NDA with me, pointing out all the ways it could destroy my life if I violate it. But he also pointed out that it's probably the best offer I'm going to get. Without this deal, I'm looking at years of legal battles, potential jail time, and financial ruin. The weirdest part is that Jake's attorney seemed almost sympathetic. He said that while my actions were completely unacceptable, they understood that I was going through a difficult personal situation and that everyone makes mistakes. He also hinted that Jake wasn't personally vindictive about the situation, this was just business. The entertainment industry is built on image management, and having a story about stalking and failed revenge plots floating around the internet isn't good for anyone's brand. I asked for 24 hours to think about it, but honestly, what choice do I have? Without this deal, I'm probably going to jail, I'll definitely be financially ruined, and my name will be associated with this disaster forever. With the deal, I get a clean slate. I get my life back, I get a good job, and I get to disappear from this story entirely. The only cost is that I can never tell anyone what really happened. It's strange how the thing I wanted most to make Jake face consequences for his actions has turned into him literally saving my life. He's offering me a way out of the hole I dug myself, and all I have to do is promise to never mention his name again. Part of me wonders if this is what Sarah felt like when she decided to cheat. The opportunity to have a better life, to escape from the ordinary existence she had with me, was just too tempting to pass up. Now I'm being offered the same thing, a chance to escape from the consequences of my actions and start over. The irony isn't lost on me. I spent months trying to destroy Jake's reputation, and now he's offering to rebuild mine. I wanted to hurt him, and instead, he might be the one who saves me from the mess I created. I'm going to take the deal. I don't really have a choice. But I wanted to post this final update before I sign the NDA and this story disappears forever. To everyone who followed this disaster from the beginning, this is probably the last you'll hear from me about any of this. In a few days, I'll be posting a video saying it was all made up, and then Throwaway Revenge 2024 will disappear forever. I know some people will be disappointed that they don't get to see how this story ends. But the truth is, this is how it ends, not with justice or revenge or anyone getting what they deserve, but with lawyers and NDAs and the quiet erasure of inconvenient truths. If there's a lesson in all of this, it's that the world isn't fair, but sometimes the unfairness works in your favor. Jake had the power to destroy my life completely, but he's choosing to give me a second chance instead. I don't know if that makes him a good person or just a smart businessman, but I'm grateful either way. This is Throwaway Revenge 2024 signing off. Thanks to everyone who offered support and advice during the worst period of my life. I hope my mistakes help other people make better choices. Wish me luck in my new life, the one where none of this ever happened. I signed the NDA this morning. As I'm typing this, my lawyer is in the process of deleting everything: my Reddit account, requests to remove the viral posts, take down notices for the blog articles. By tomorrow, it will be like Throwaway Revenge 2024 never existed. I recorded the video this afternoon. Sitting in front of a camera, apologizing for my fictional story and explaining that I made it all up for internet points was one of the most surreal experiences of my life. I'm basically erasing my own truth and replacing it with a lie that protects the people who hurt me. But you know what? I feel lighter than I have in months. The job they arranged for me starts next week. It's with a company that does digital marketing for entertainment clients, better pay than my old job, better benefits, and a chance to rebuild my career in a field I actually find interesting. The criminal charges are being reduced to a misdemeanor with a plea agreement. Probation, community service, and counseling, but no jail time and no felony record. Most importantly, I get to disappear from this story. No more internet fame, no more memes, no more strangers emailing me about my failures. I get to become anonymous again. Sarah and Jake can have their happiness. I tried to destroy it and failed, and in the process, I learned that revenge isn't worth destroying your own life over. They didn't deserve what I put them through, regardless of what they put me through. I'm 34 years old, and I'm starting over completely. New job, new city, I'm moving to Seattle, new identity in a way. The man who tried to stalk a movie star is disappearing, and in his place is just another guy trying to rebuild his life after a divorce. Maybe in a few years, I'll meet someone who makes me forget about all of this. Maybe I'll have the family I thought I wanted with Sarah. Maybe I'll look back on this entire disaster as the worst thing that ever happened to me that led to the best thing that ever happened to me. Or maybe I'll just live a quiet, ordinary life where the most dramatic thing that happens is arguing with my neighbors about parking spaces. Right now, that sounds perfect. I'm deleting this account in an hour. Everything I've posted here will be gone by tomorrow, officially designated as fiction by my own sworn statement. But for anyone reading this before it disappears, it was all real. Every word of it. Sometimes the truth gets erased because it's inconvenient for powerful people, but that doesn't make it less true. Don't make the mistakes I made. Don't let hurt and humiliation drive you to destroy your own life in pursuit of meaningless revenge. Don't give people more power over your future than they already had over your past. And remember that sometimes the best revenge is just living well despite what people did to you. This is Throwaway Revenge 2024, signing off forever. The man who wrote these posts is about to disappear, but the man who learned from these mistakes is just getting started. Goodbye, Reddit. Thanks for listening to my story, even if it's about to officially become a lie. But here's the thing about the internet: nothing ever really disappears completely. Screenshots were saved, the story was archived, and people remember. Even though the official narrative is that this was all made up, thousands of people read the real story before it vanished. This tale serves as a powerful reminder about several important lessons. First, revenge rarely works out the way you imagine it will. Our protagonist thought he could take down a Hollywood actor using his IT skills and determination, but he was completely outmatched by professional crisis managers and high-powered lawyers. Second, the internet is forever until it isn't. While our protagonist's story went viral and seemed permanently etched into digital history, money and legal pressure were able to make it disappear almost completely. It makes you wonder how many other stories have been quietly erased from the internet by people with enough resources. Third, sometimes the best outcome isn't justice, it's mercy. Jake could have destroyed this man's life completely, but instead chose to give him a second chance. Whether that was kindness or just good business, it probably saved our protagonist from years of legal and financial ruin. Finally, the story reminds us that real life isn't like the movies. The wronged husband doesn't get his dramatic revenge, the cheating wife doesn't face consequences, and the movie star doesn't learn a valuable lesson. Sometimes bad things happen to good people, and sometimes good things happen to people who made terrible choices. Our protagonist started this journey wanting to destroy someone else's life and ended up nearly destroying his own. But in the end, he got something that might be more valuable than revenge: a second chance. Whether you believe his story was real or just an elaborate piece of creative writing, the lessons are worth remembering. When life hits you with betrayal and heartbreak, the choices you make in response will determine whether you come out stronger or just create new problems for yourself. What do you think? Do you believe this story really happened, or was it just fiction designed to go viral? And if it was real, do you think our protagonist deserved the mercy he was shown, or should he have faced the full consequences of his actions? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Reddit's most dramatic revenge stories, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. And remember, sometimes the best revenge is just living well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.